guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about what can you do with an RHIA or an RHIT degree. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. So guys, the first things first I gotta tell you is that when it comes to health information technology, health information management, it's part of the health information bubble, okay? There are a lot of positions that people who have these degree designations can have, but it's important to know what they have to know, okay? So let's get this sorted first. The RHIT is a registered health information technician. This is a person who's gone through an approved CAHIIM program, and CAHIIM is the Commission on Accreditation for Health Informatics and Information Management, and they are the approving authority with these college programs that can say, yes, this person can sit for the RHIT, which is the Registered Health Information Technician, or the RHIA, which is the Registered Health Information Administrator. Now, it's very important. If your program is not approved through CAHIIM, you cannot sit for the RHIT or the RHIA. So it makes a huge difference because a lot of times these employers are looking for these specific credentials. So just if you're asking, don't just ask, guys. Don't just ask the school, because I hear all the time from people who are taken advantage of when they say, well, are you accredited? When you say, are you accredited, that can mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily accredited through who they need you to be accredited through in order to sit for the RHIT or the RHIA. So make sure that you do your due diligence. I will leave the link for CAHIIM in the description box below, so that way you can type in your program that you're in to make sure that they are approved so that you can sit for the RHIT or the RHIA. Now, the RHIT, the Registered Health Information Technician, this is the associate's degree. And the RHIA, the Registered Health Information Administrator, that is the bachelor's degree in Health Information Management. Okay, so something you gotta know. All right, so with that said, I got a comment from a viewer, and I'm gonna read the comment and we're gonna get into it. So here we go. All right. The comment reads, hi, I want to stay in the medical field and I was looking to getting my RHIT, but I don't want to do coding. Can you tell me if I get this degree, what non-coding jobs can I get? I've been in the lab for the last 9 years and I really need a career change. So here's the thing. When it comes to saying, I don't want to code, typically, people who have the RHIT or the RHIA, they're going to be in managerial positions, and that is what they're designed for. When you look at the syllabus for these programs, it's going to be talking a lot about medical law and ethics. It's going to be talking about privacy. It's going to be talking a lot about HIPAA, and the coding portion is actually almost an afterthought. It's very small. It's a very small portion of either of these programs. So that's something that you have to know. If you are working as a medical coder and you have a degree, RHIA or the RHIT, you're technically working under your capabilities with your degree, okay? Because our degree holders are meant to be in a leadership position. So if you are not interested in leadership, this is probably not going to be the field for you. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to, oh, I don't want to code, but I just want to do some non-coding jobs. Well, really, unless you're going to be doing something with HIPAA or release of information, which you can do with the RHIT or RHIA, again, technically, you're a little under what you should be doing with that degree, but it is out there. You're going to have to know some portion of coding. You're going to have to know and understand what these things mean, because even if you get a job in data analytics, you're still going to have to understand, okay, how does this apply? Is this code okay? And looking at the codes, you're still going to have to understand what's going on. So there's really almost no way for you to have a thing where you're going to have some kind of coding involved job, right? You can also be a head of a department, a whole head of like the patient administration. You could be head of that. You can be head of medical records. But again, you're still going to have to understand the coding side. You're still going to have to be able to break up arguments, right? Because typically, if you have a RHIA and you've never been a coder, but you're a leader, they're going to look to you to break the tie if the coder and the auditor cannot come to an agreement. They usually take it up the chain, right? Because there's always going to be a chain of command every place that you go. And a chain of command means like it starts off with you and your supervisor. And if that doesn't work, then it's going to go up, you know, to their supervisor and then their supervisor. So that's how it goes. But if you don't really want to have anything to do with coding, even if you're not doing it on a daily basis, again, you're still going to have to understand it. So I'm not really sure what the goals are for this individual who wants to get this degree, but really has nothing wanting to do with medical coding at all. You know, you still, again, have to understand it. I personally don't understand that view because I love what I do. But again, it's a little bit of a bias here because I love medical coding. And for a lot of people, they get it in their head right away based on somebody else's opinion, that they couldn't get it or they don't understand it or they weren't able to find a job. So they don't even want to try to be a medical coder. Their journey is not your journey. And my only other advice is this: if you're going to spend so much money getting a degree and not really wanting to do anything that is needed with that degree, then why would you be wasting your money? Because you're almost wasting your money at that point. And yes, while you've had experience in the medical field before, again, unless you want to become an educator or like for providers, or you want to teach other adults, other medical coders, again, you're still going to have to understand medical coding. And teaching providers and being that like a CDI coach or something like that, which you can do with either of those as well, you still need to know and understand medical coding, even though you're not doing it on a daily basis and you're not under productivity standards most of the time anyway. But that's something that you just have to know. It's hard when I see people out there that are just like thinking that if they get a degree that it's going to be their shoe into a good career and they can use their knowledge, but there's going to be things about it that you may not like. And if you have never had exposure to it, or you don't know what it's like to be a medical coder, then you shouldn't say that this is not what you want to do, right? Because again, you're taking somebody else's opinion and somebody else's experience as your own. I've heard of people who say that they worked with somebody who wasn't certified, but they did the coding and they say they hate it and that they shouldn't get involved with it because they're going to hate it too. And that person really did think that that was going to happen to them, that they were going to hate it. And again, why would you be so cavalier with your future and be like, oh yeah, this person said it's a bad thing, so I'm going to believe them. I don't know any better. You don't know to do your own research and find this stuff out on your own. It's again, it goes back to, this is part of what we do. We do research. We do look things up. I mean, you have to be educated and you have to educate yourself. And there's just no other way around it. You cannot just take people's word for it at any rate. And I always encourage you guys to do your research as well. But I still get simple questions that can be found on the AHIMA website or the AAPC website, and it's just like a lot of times I don't even answer those questions anymore in the comments because it's just like, why? Why when you're not looking it up? That's setting you up to fail, you know, to always constantly give you the answer when instead you can just look through the videos or look on the website yourself, you know. So that's just what I'm saying there. But everything that I can think of for an RHIA or the RHIT is always going to go back to some element of coding, right? Whether you're running reports for data analytics or you're educating or you're breaking up arguments between coder and auditor. I mean, you still have to go back to the coding somehow, some way. So I don't really see how you can actually be successful if that's not really what you want to do. I mean, there's always going to be elements of work that maybe you don't like. There's elements of my work that I don't like. I don't like attending meetings. That's my thing. My big thing is I do not like attending meetings with other coders because a lot of times if there's not like really a set agenda, it can go off the rails really quickly. And then there's just like, okay, why are we here? I could be working, so there's those things, but everybody's going to have that point of that they don't like this or they don't like that. It's about making it really your own. That's all you can do at that point. And for me, the way that I make those meetings my own, okay, I just try to get the most out of it that I can, but not really set high expectations for what I can get out of this meeting, right? So that's the thing that I do for me, and that helps me to see, okay, there's some value here anyway, all right? But yes, don't go in with some preconceived notion that if you get this degree and that, it'll be good for you because you came from from a medical background. There's a lot of people who are nurses who decide that they want to get into medical coding, and then they get into it and then they decide, oh, this is completely different from what I expected, because they were used to like circling from a super bill and they thought that that's what medical coding was. And it's not. You have to read and comprehend and understand. So it's the same thing for this person to go from the lab and want to be in medical coding. I just don't see where you can go without having, to be able to use your degree to its full potential, and if it's actually worth it, right? So that's just my advice anyway. But if you're looking to get a degree because you think it'll make you more money as a medical coder, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to, all right? It won't, because of the simple fact that when people who understand what these degrees are for, and they see you applying, trying to be a medical coder with the RHIA, then they're like, this person has the ability to be in leadership, because, the RHIA, or the Health Information Management Program, is very intense. And again, the coding portion of it is very small, but if you have that, and you're trying, again, you're working under the capabilities of the RHIA. There's so much you can do with it, and having the power to be able to lead people and to be able to educate people, I think is so wonderful, especially that particular credential will unlock a lot of doors for you that way. But you have to want to do that. And for people who think that, well, I could never be a leader, it's because you have never given yourself that opportunity, or you're not trained. Leaders are not just, born. It does take work, and it takes practice, and it takes training, and it takes self-improvement. It takes a lot of self-improvement, because trust me, there's plenty of people out there who are ill-equipped to be in leadership positions, but they're still there, unfortunately, right? They're there, and they're in a position to be able to influence a lot of people. So when you get in there and you understand that, hey, what I do affects other people, then you can see from it at a different point of view. Like, okay, well, if I can make somebody else's career better, if I can encourage people, if I can bring people up, if I can, do all these great and wonderful things, it's going to have an impact later on down the road, right? So that's the thing that you need to think about. Everybody has that capability to be a leader. It doesn't matter if you're in a leadership position. I had to gain those skills a lot working in ortho and podiatry, and, working with orthopedic surgeons and working with podiatry surgeons, and just having to get that, I know what I need to tell them, but I need to have the strength to be able to be assertive when need be, and learn to be, all these things as far as like, okay, ready and able to answer these questions as soon as they have them. If I don't know the answer, then I'm going to say, hey, let me look up a reference for you, and I'll get right back to you. And being a woman of my word, and saying that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what we've done, and not just making promises, and learning when it is appropriate to send queries or to provide education, and picking and choosing my battles, and not just nitpicking. Because that's something that you're going to learn in a leadership position, is that you have to pick and choose your battles. You can't just be nitpicking for any and every little reason, because then you become a micromanager. And there's nothing worse than a micromanager. I know for myself, I could never work under a micromanager. That doesn't work for me. I've worked under a micromanager and that did not work. And so I'm very clear about that now. Anytime I interview anywhere also, and I've made it clear when I worked at home, and I worked for Level 1 Trauma Hospital, I made it very clear in that interview. And that was one of the things that my boss liked about me, was that I was very clear about that. Because I said, she'd asked me, do you have any questions? And I said, yes. I said, I do have a question. My question is this: how much autonomy will I get if I've proven myself to be responsible and to do my tasks? Basically what I'm asking is, how much managing will I have to have? Because I am the type of person who does not need to be micromanaged. And say, not that you do it, because we don't know each other. I said, but that is one thing that I am seeking this employment because this is what I need. I am a extremely good coder because I love what I do. It shows in my work. It shows in everything that I do every day, and trying to continually educate myself. I said, but I need this sort of ability to be able to work autonomously if I've proven myself. And I really would like to stay away from somebody who has to constantly watch over somebody, because I don't need that. And she's like, I think we're gonna get along just fantastic, Blue. She's like, yeah, I don't like to micromanage. She goes, I don't even like myself to be micromanaged. She goes, so I can really respect what you're saying. She goes, yes, absolutely. She says, if I don't see that I have to worry about you, obviously I am not going to worry about you, and you will be free to do whatever it is that you need to do. And that's all I ask, is that you do your tasks like you're supposed to, and we're not going to have any issues. And I said, well, that sounds great to me. So I got the job, and that was very quick, and it was very straightforward, because that was where I was in my career. Was, okay, well, I don't need to be micromanaged. So people who are getting into these degree programs also need to have that mindset, if I'm being perfectly honest, that you need to learn to trust your people and trust their abilities, trust their capabilities, and to be able to grow them, because that's what being in a leadership position does to you. It helps you to cultivate that knowledge in others, and so that they can grow and they can move on to be better leaders someplace else, So that's the thing that I would say. If you are a micromanager, you probably shouldn't be in a leadership position, but that's just me, That's what I would say anyway. But yes, keep in mind that if you're going to do anything coming in, as far as like going into data analytics, being a chief of a department or a chief of a clinic, those are things that you can think of when you're in those positions, that somehow, some way, you're going to have to still be not only managing people, but still understand the coding side as well. Because even if you go in and you're a chief of a clinic, and as far as like you manage the clinic, you're the clinic administrator with your degree, and you're not doing the coding, because there's obviously a coder in the clinic, you still need to be able to run reports to make sure that your folks are documenting like they're supposed to, that everything makes sense, because you cannot just rely on the coder. You have to be able to be like, okay, I'm the leader here as well, and I need to make sure that my folks are doing what they're supposed to do, so that everything that they're doing is hunky-dory, and not just, oh, well, that's not my job, so I don't worry about it. I hate that. I can't stand people who are like that. Oh, that's not my job, I'm not going to worry about it. When in actuality, you probably have a hand in it somehow, some way. Like the clinic administrator, who would have a hand in making sure that their folks are, doing like they're supposed to, so that everything that is being done in the clinic is appropriately being reported. So that's just something that you need to know. There's a lot more to it. And if you're not willing to give it what it requires, then you're almost wasting your time. And there's not a lot of room in this industry for people who just are lackadaisical and don't care. You see it. You see people who are lackadaisical and they don't care, and they're there to collect a check and go home. So I say that this is my channel, and I'm going to say whatever I like, and I'm going to make sure that people understand. And even though it may not be what you want to hear, it may not even be what you like to hear, at least you'll be prepared, and at least you'll know. Because again, I'm not here to to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell this and I'm going to sell that and I'm going to do, no, I don't care. Whether you all watch the video or whether you book a session with me or whether you, for tutoring or professional coaching or resumes, whatever, it doesn't really matter to me. My whole goal for you all being here and watching my show is so that you know, okay, if I get this degree, this is what it's going to be for. It's for a leadership position. And I need to be a leader and I need to grow myself as a leader instead of just thinking that it's a money thing, because it's not what it is. That's not what it's all about. It is very lucrative, yes, but it's not what it's all about. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But think carefully if you are going to go into these degree programs. The one and only degree program I will recommend is in the description box below. You do not have to click on that link, but it is my affiliate link. So just know that. There is no obligation to go to that school, but that is what I recommend. It is in the description box below. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Best wishes to you on your journey, but just know that you still have to know what a doctor knows while never having gone to medical school, because there's nothing worse than a leader who doesn't understand medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. It's very important for you to understand that. I'm just saying. So, see y'all next time. Bye.